we're going back to what we had overnight and the news making the headlines and stares across the markets as we wake up to the second trading day of the new week and the new month of May. The central bank hammered 18 commercial banks overnight for their failure to sell special SMEs FX intervention funds of $100 million weekly over a 4-week period. The central bank overnight in a statement says the non-compliant banks are now out of the spot and forward FX central bank intervention windows until they show sufficient evidence that they have allocated all the existing FX monies for small and medium enterprises they've received over the last 4 weeks since the regulator opened a new window of $20,000 per quarter for SMEs who want to import specified items. Meantime, the statement went on to say that only 8 commercial banks were in, quote, partial compliance, end of quote, with a CBN directive on SMEs FX fund allocation. Majority of Nigerian banks are in deficit of performing what the central bank says they should do, sell those FX to small and medium enterprises. Now, the central bank says only banks that have utilized their SME funds to be allocated all of the $100 million sold at yesterday, that's Tuesday, May the 2nd, wholesale FX auction. Yesterday, the central bank allocated $100 million into the wholesale FX auction and said that all the banks found in this misconduct will not participate in that $100 million latest auction, which is, of course, the 5th one. It was 4 weeks ago that the central bank started this $100 million weekly allocation into the market for the SMEs. Now the central bank says the majority of that money is still sitting with the banks, most of the banks that there were, and they're yet to allocate them to small and medium enterprises. So the central bank is now hammering 18 of 26 Nigerian banks for this SMEs FX misconduct. According to the financial regulator, some surveys revealed that the SMEs continue to face untold hardships created by the banks, making it difficult for these SMEs to access foreign exchange at the window opened to them by the central bank. Some SMEs have been waiting for weeks for foreign exchange without success. That's the end of that statement from the central bank. So that brings us to our Twitter question of the day, and we look it up to everyone in the industry and on the street who understand how this works to come up with an answer. So what is the criteria for SMEs to access this special Central Bank of Nigeria special SMEs allocation? And of course, you know where to find us on Twitter, on social media. You know it, at Channels TV. Put your comments there. We'd like to read from you. And of course, you can put it directly at Biz Morning. And of course, if you want to make it personal, at B. Bosin. That's one of the stories we're pursuing as we speak. Let's move on very quickly, and you look at the new month. We're starting today until Friday is the 2017 edition of the World Economic Forum for Africa, starting in Durban, South Africa, with the theme Leadership in an Era of Disruption. There will be a lot of discussions with some of Nigerian delegates attending this conference, from policymakers to business executives. You don't want to miss the 3-day coverage. We have some members of Channels Television team down there in Durban covering the WEFA 2017 edition for us. Meantime, Nigeria will host the 10th anniversary of the Africa Finance Corporation with the presidents of Nigeria, Ghana, and Uganda, May the 15th and 16th, to talk about the leading Africa infrastructure summit, and that will be here with delegates from more than a dozen African countries. And next week, Tuesday, was when the IMF Africa Development Africa Department of the IMF will launch a regional economic outlook report in Abuja and Dhaka simultaneously, same day, May the 9th, with a report focusing on economic progress and opportunities within the sub-Saharan Africa. And later in the month, in the 3rd week, you can see the African Development Bank annual meeting taking place in India. So let's come back home and see one big story that will be on from now all the way to the end of the month. It's the 2nd anniversary of President Buhari's administration. We're focusing on that. And you can follow all our reports and special reports, interviews, panel discussions, all of that this month as we look at Democracy Day on May 29th and the anniversary of the Buhari's administration. That's something very big on the calendar. I'm sure everyone will be on the lookout for that. Let's get sneaking the oil and gas segment. It was all flat on Friday, so we started the new month yesterday, Tuesday, the first trading day in the green. Largely, three of the oil and gas companies, Oando, Seplat, and Total, that pushed the sector index a little bit to the north. Those are the three stocks in the green. Oando up almost 5%. That's quite significant volume, 4.773. 606, 696 cover. Seplat added 3.66%, almost 700,000 shares. That's 425 naira at the closing bell. Total added 0.76%. That's a positive in the green, 265 when the market finished. If you look at 40 oil, finished 43. That's a negative 4.23%. The only loser among the big seven on the market on Tuesday when we started, while corn oil, Mobil, and MRS remain unchanged.